Hi guys, this is Stormmouse03. Welcome back to my Evil Within 2 Classic Mode walkthrough. This is going to be part 5, and we're going to be doing chapters 11 and 12. And so, here we are, we're at the start of chapter 11, and we're headed back into the Marrow, and we're going to be facing, I think one of the tougher bosses of the game, although you can completely stealth kill him, which is pretty awesome. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You can also kill him conventionally, but it takes a lot of ammunition. So we'll talk about that when we get there. We have a little bit of a ways to go through this section here. We picked up the freeze bolt in the room at the very end of the last video. And the freeze bolts work really well against the boss coming up, if you so choose to use them. The solution for that door is to just flip all of the switches. And when you come down here, you'll notice that this is the same area that we were in before, but it looks a little bit different now. There's all these candles and things, and as we are going to find out here, Hoffman is gone. And so you're going to have to go and attune to this frequency right here. And that's going to kind of show you where to go next. And so we're going to be headed this way. This was an area we couldn't get to before. And we're going to be going through a couple of rooms here. Now, these can be kind of tricky, which is why I recommended making the save before you did all of this stuff. Because it is kind of easy for this to go wrong. There is another shotgun ammo pouch, which is awesome. Almost have all of those, which is very cool. But yeah, it's fairly easy for this to go badly in these rooms coming up, mostly because of the toxic abomination lady. And I'm going to remember her name here in a second. It starts with an L. But mostly because of her. She's the one that really makes it bad. So, well, we don't have to deal with her just yet because she's not spawned in right at the start. So there's really, I don't believe, anything in this room right here. So you can just run right through. And then the first thing that you want to do is go over to the left here. It's going to show you a little memory. Again, telling you what to do. And then there is a statue up here on that light. And you want to get the key. And you want to do that first because you're the closest to where it falls right there. And you're not going to alert any of the enemies if you do it right there at the start, which is pretty cool. Now, there's lots of stuff in this room, but you don't really need to get a whole lot of it. I'm going to pick up some, but I'm not going to be looting this whole area because I just don't think that it's worth it. There's a lot of enemies, and it's just not worth the risk and the time, in my opinion, to go around and get a lot of those things. But that was the second medical pouch, so that's all of those, which is pretty neat. And now we're going to head into another room here. And this is the way that you need to go. So we're gonna need to get a chip out of this guy's head in order to get through the door down there. And I think this code is always the same, but it was at the bottom of that little document that you looked at. But I think it's always 0128. That may or may not be accurate, but if you look at the computer down at the bottom, it should give you the code. So if it is different, that's where it should be. And we get to see this lovely little scene here of drilling into this guy's brain. And I mean, he must not have been dead for very long because his blood is not coagulated. So interesting. Although, whether or not the laws of physics and, everything else, the laws of medicine work the way they do in STEM versus in reality, who knows? So you want to get up against this wall. And you want to wait for this lost to come up here and do his little animation and then turn around. Because I find that if you move across here too quickly, a lot of times he'll see you, even if it doesn't look like he's around the corner yet. But there you go, he's gone. And then we're gonna move up to this next corner. And I'm using the little arrow bumper thing to move into cover quickly from time to time, but that's not 100% necessary. This person is going to drop a body right there and then start eating it. And you'd think you could get around them and stab them from behind, but you can't. They'll turn and see you in their peripheral vision. So if you toss a bottle, that will alert them and make them turn, and then you can stab them in the back of the face. And so you just want to be careful here. I've had all sorts of crazy things happen at this moment. So sometimes the lament, which is the word that I was searching for earlier, the lament has heard me somehow as I'm moving up there and is coming up the stairs while I was trying to go down them. And how that happened is anybody's guess. So, hope that doesn't happen to you. It shouldn't, because if you do what I do, these things should be on the pattern that they're on right now. But just know that sometimes weird things can happen, and that's why we make saves. You wait for the witch to turn around, and then you can move through this middle section here. And don't worry, like once you come out this side, the witch can't really see you. She doesn't patrol down this far. So as long as you don't make a bunch of noise, you're fine. And so now you want to be peeking around out here because the lament is somewhere out there. And you want to get over to this door and kind of trigger it. Now, you can... you should toss a bottle past those lost, is what you should do to sort of get their attention to go the other direction. And I forgot to do that just then. But that's what you should do. You heard the lament scream. And I'm not exactly sure where she came from. I didn't see her when I went to walk toward the door. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll be able to get there. But she must have just come around a corner, and she was right there. So you can see her through the door there. And I'm just kind of waiting because I want to go back and grab a couple of supplies that are right outside of the door. Because I know that there are some in a bag. And so I'm just taking the opportunity to craft some more medical supplies. Because this boss can be a pain. And trying to kill him with stealth, while I think it's the best way in terms of conserving ammunition and whatnot, and I thought it was cool. So I wanted to show you guys this because I'm sure that if you want to kill him with weapons, like, you don't need to see me do that to be able to do that or to know how to do that, because you just shoot him. You shoot him with stuff. But to kill him with stealth, there's a couple of patterns, and it's helpful to see what works and what doesn't in terms of trying to sneak up behind him. So that's what I chose to show here. But just know that you can kill him with weapons. Just I would suggest not shooting him in the flamethrower tank and having that blow up, because once he's trying to get you at melee range, it can be really rough because he's pretty fast. So when he starts off here, you want to run away. And sometimes he'll get you with a fireball that he shoots. So he'll do one of two attacks, or I guess one of three attacks. One is where he'll shoot like a projectile at you. That's the one you hope that he doesn't really do. Because if he does, that'll probably catch you in the area of effect and do a little bit of damage. The second is like a flame burst straight out from his flamethrower. And the third is a like flame spray that he moves from side to side. And so if he does either of the flame burst or spray, you're fine. If he does the like fireball launch thing, that can hurt, but it's not gonna one-shot you unless your health is low, which it shouldn't be. I would always recommend going into a boss fight with full health. There's no reason not to. There are plenty of herbs that you can use to craft medical supplies, and so there's no reason to ever go into a boss fight with less than full health, unless you're just doing some sort of challenge run, which is fine if that's the case. So this is going to take a long time to kill him, because I'm hiding, I'm waiting for the right moment. Sometimes he doesn't want to come and get in the places where I want him to be. But like right now he was doing the like spray attack. He does not know where I am right now. And so what I'm doing is waiting for him to move forward. And you got to be real careful, because you see he does these things where you think he's got his back turned to you, and then he'll sort of pivot around and see you. Like right there. And so there's really only a couple of spots where you can really get him. Unless you get lucky with your timing. But these desks and things in this area right here are really good cover, because you can get around them and sort of lose him, and that's really nice. So you're just gonna have to be patient with this guy if you want to stealth kill him. It's gonna take 4 backstabs to do so on this difficulty. It might be less on the easier difficulties. This piece of cover right here is also really good for getting him around. Sometimes I've been able to move around behind him and stab him in the back from right there. But at other times, he'll come around the other side that you think he's going to, and then you can't get him. And so it's just this little cat and mouse game of back and forth, trying to get him into the right spot. I do think that getting him when he's walking forward past this particular piece of cover is at least fairly consistent. That he'll come up here and kind of pause for a second, and you can get him. So there it was. It was very fast, the window of opportunity for that prompt. But that is a fairly consistent spot where you can get him. Like I said, this piece of cover right here is pretty good. Because even if you don't get the backstab on him, this piece of cover is pretty protective. And if he goes around the way that you don't think he's going to go around and he ends up seeing you, you can kind of kite him around this and are able to move back into the other part of the room. And I'd really suggest using this area right here. So this little piece of cover as well as the cover in the room over there. Because the other part of the room, there's just no cover. And it's not, he'll just see you and shoot at you, and it's not a good time. So you want to be using this room and then the little hallway with the big tiled wall. And so when he loses you, and the reason why I went back around, and you really just kind of want to be aware of where he is. If you don't see him for a little while, like I didn't see him when I was waiting over there before, that means that he may have really lost you and go back to his kind of patrol pattern. And I didn't want him to sneak up behind me. So if I had stayed where I was, he would have been able to sneak up behind me, and that would have not been good. But now I know where he is. And I can come over here and try to get him around this column. He usually will walk up the right side of this. And he'll usually kind of pause right there and then turn to the left. But if he moves that quickly around it, it's going to be hard to get him. I'm not saying that you can't, but I'm saying you're going to have to be really precise in the window that you choose to try to get him. So now he's going to walk over to the left. Use the little cover trick. Be careful of him turning. And then if you can get up behind him, he does pause right there, but he turns pretty fast. It's a quick pause. And now I'm going to hope to lure him around this column. And this is it, guys. This is the entire strategy. It just takes a few times to actually work. And you just want to try to keep something in between you and him. If he sees you, it's not good. And you just want to get away from him. Because if he melees you, I think he can one-shot you if he rams into you with that flamethrower. I am pretty certain that he has one-shot me with that before. And there's a melee attack where he just kind of hits you, and that does not one-shot you. But there is another one where he kind of rams it through your body, and that will kill you. Because he kind of rams it through you and then starts the flamethrower going. And it's like you've now been stabbed and cooked. And it's just no good. And so now he's going to go back around through there. And he's going to start his pattern over again. So yeah, 4 stabs, guys. We've done 1. Patience. Patience is key. Oh, and pulling those little switches does turn on the sprinkler system, and that one right there will remove the flames kind of from in this room and over to this side of the map that I'm running on. And then there's another switch that I haven't pulled because it's in the area that I'm not really running to. But that one will turn off the flames that are on that side of the map.
Once you give in, all the confusion and guilt will go away.
So here we go. We're going to try to sneak up on him again. And so there's 2 halves to this fight. If you stab him twice or do enough damage to him with weapons, he'll kind of take his mask off, and at that point he's a little bit more aggressive, and he's more likely to do his melee attacks and try to run and get you. Another thing that can happen is if you shoot him in the flamethrower tank. If you shoot him in the flamethrower tank, that'll kind of explode, and at that point, it's not good because he will get really fast and really aggressive, and he will run toward you and try to melee you. So when he pauses there, sometimes I've been able to get him, like if you're up behind the back side, you're able to get around behind him. And it's probably about this moment where my patience is about to run out. So I tried to get behind him there. I don't know why it didn't give me the prompt at that moment, because, I mean, I guess maybe because he was in the animation of turning around. I'm really not sure. But that looked like I should have gotten it there, and I have gotten it at that spot before, but it just decided it wasn't going to give it to me. Again, make sure that you're topped up, because these bosses can really hurt you, and you don't want to put yourself in the position where you're just getting killed for no reason. But yep, this is about the point where Dormouse's patience is running thin, because I've been circling these same boxes, these same desks, whatever these things are. Metal gurney tray bed things. Desks. Whatever they are. Cabinets. I've been like circling these for the past, 10 minutes now? And I've stabbed him one time. And I'm a patient person, but sometimes the patience is not there. So I'm trying the strategy to hide on this side, so that when he does his little turnaround, I can get him. The only thing about this is that sometimes he will do something a little bit different depending on where you are standing or crouching. And that is utterly irritating. But we'll see if he does that here.
You'll never escape me.
Because it's like if he doesn't know where you are, his pattern should be the same every time. But I've had sometimes where he doesn't know where I am, but he switches up like his positioning or where he stands, where he turns, etc., etc. So we're going to see right now whether this is going to work out. Because he should do the little turn here and stay like that for a minute. And he did. Which is nice. Oh, I did have it, but it was just a little bit too late. It was just a little bit too late. So it wasn't quite quick enough. But yeah, that would have done it. Just there. Yes, I see you looking over here. As Sebastian does the corner shimmy, trying to hide from this guy. And I know that this is slow, guys, and I do know that. I am aware. And it's probably much more exciting to see him getting blown up with explosive bolts and shocked and whatever. So, I mean, a good strategy is to try to get him to run through the narrow corridor and get him with shock bolt, explosive bolt, shock bolt, explosive bolt, or freeze bolt, explosive bolt, freeze bolt, explosive bolt. All of those things work really well. Your bolts are just super, super good for these boss fights. You can also shock or freeze him and then get him with like the shotgun or sniper rifle in the head. Does a ton of damage. And so those are also really, really good strategies to use against him if you're not going to be doing this. If you're going to be killing him, you can also do a combination, like you could do stealth for a little while and then try to get him with weapons. You could also get him to half health with the weapons and then try to stealth him the last couple of stabs. So there's the other sprinkler system thing, and it's going to remove the flames from right here. And I did that so that I could come around this side. And get around this piece of cover, but I think because I activated the sprinkler system, he didn't quite. He got off his pattern just a slight bit. And he was just right there. So yeah, O'Neill, he's annoying. But we're going to kill him. So, after this boss fight, you're basically at the end of chapter 11. Also, after this boss fight, all of the enemies that were in the room before despawn. So you can go in there, and if you really wanted to pick up some of the items and things from in that room, you can go in there afterward and pick those up. Which is pretty nice. And which is another good reason to not worry about killing everything while you're in there. Alright, he's going to turn. We're going to try to get behind him. And fail again. Because we stink at everything, and Sebastian is way too slow. Way, way, way too slow. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about that upgrade system. Like, affecting my speed, it's just nonsense. I get the stamina upgrade and everything, but affecting how fast I can move while I'm crouched, like, that's kind of a jerk of an upgrade. And also the melee stuff, so making it so that the hand axes don't do as much damage because you've been they've been nerfed so that they can get more powerful with the upgrade system. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Those two things. Everything else with the upgrade system is fine and dandy. I mean, did he turn around faster? Like, I swear, the first time that I did that, I made it all the way, and that time I went earlier than I did, and he turned around quicker. Like, come on, man. He's just mean. There's the prompt. Now, how did that not happen the last couple of times I had him around that corner? You guys tell me. Inconsistency frustrates me. Inconsistency really frustrates me. But, now I'm blind. Here we go. Try not to touch the flames, because they do hurt. You know. I don't know that that's really a tip. It shouldn't be, because you guys should probably realize that, but, you know, whatever. So now everything's on fire again. You can use the sprinkler system to put out some of these a second time, which is cool. There's a prompt on him, because he decided to be kind and not turn around that time.
You sneaky bastard. You think you're too good to fight me?
So yeah, there we go. It's funny. It's like, I'm patient, I'm patient, I'm patient. I'm trying to wait until the right moments, and sometimes it's just like, now where did the prompt go that time? Someone tell me. Somebody tell me. See how he's a lot faster now? Like, he's more aggressive once his mask goes away. I'm gonna heal up again. And he can move way, way too fast, I think. But there's the last stab, and he's gonna die. So that's O'Neil done. 20 minutes. 20 minutes of kiting him around, doing a little cat and mouse game of getting him around those pieces of cover and everything. But hopefully that shows you the best spots to stab him. Make sure you wanna pick up that. Well, I'm not going to actually fix it, because I'm not going to kill any of those. I think they're called harbingers. I think. I'm not going to kill any of the other flamethrower guys in order to fix the broken flamethrower. But if you do choose to do that, that will make the boss fight with Laura coming up in chapter 14 a lot easier. So, I mean, I think it's worth doing if you really want to do that, but it's not necessary. She's fairly easy to kill without doing that, so don't worry about it. And I'm going to show you how to do it without having the flamethrower, which should be helpful. But if you do want to go and kill a couple more of those flamethrower guys that we're going to be seeing in chapter 13, then feel free, and you can fix the flamethrower, and then that'll make life just a little bit easier for you in 14 with the boss fights. So
It's me.
at this point, you can go back to the safe house. You can open a couple more lockers. We're going to grab another key in just a second and go back and do that. And you want to do that and sort of make sure you have ammo and everything prepared for chapter 12, because you're not going to be able to revisit the safe house until after chapter 12. And so there's going to be a statue right here. And then I'd suggest that you go back to the safe house and open your lockers and craft any ammunition that you would like to craft at the workbench in order to get you through 12. You should not need very much ammo. I would say make sure you have a couple of harpoon bolts, because I am going to show you a pretty good strategy to use with those. So make sure that you have at least one or two of those at your disposal. And other than that, just the basics. You don't have to have anything really crazy. Because the majority of the enemies in 12 we're going to either be avoiding or stealth killing. There we are. Sniper rifle cartridges. And shotgun shells, I think that is. Or maybe it's handgun bullets. Couldn't quite tell, because I'm looking at this on a tiny screen. But it was bullets. It was ammo. And so any ammo is well worth it. So we're going to make sure that we craft some bolts, because we have the ability to do so. And you usually don't find too many extras of these different types of bolts. So if you have 5 or 6 of each type, that's good. Because like I said, you're usually not going to find that many more. And not that you're going to be using all of those things right now, but just to make sure that you're filled up and kind of have as much at your disposal as possible, just in case you need things. Like I said, you can go back into that other room and collect a few more things if you really want to. There's not a whole lot more. I think there are some herbs and maybe some gunpowder scattered around in there, but all the enemies should be despawned if you want to do that. And when you're ready to move on, you come and you talk to Torres, and then there will be a cutscene that I trimmed out, and then you'll be here at the beginning of chapter 12. So like I said, the majority of the enemies we're going to be either avoiding or stealth killing in this level. There are quite a few of them spread out around here, but we're not going to have to contend with too terribly many of them if you take the path that I do. You want to keep your flashlight off. It's going to be dark. It's going to be kind of hard to see and tell where you are. But if you come over to this little altar right here, there should be a pouch, and that's going to be another one of your handgun ammo pouches. And then I'm just going to continue to run over around the right perimeter. And you just want to be listening for any enemies, and you want to be kind of looking. I know that it's difficult to see because you want to have your light off. But there's gonna be one here on the right that we want to avoid here. You can just see her, and then she turns around. And then we can get around behind her and stab her face in. And she had an axe, so if you had used your axe maybe on the boss fight before or on any of the enemies, then there are a couple of enemies with axes in this level that you can replenish your axe with. And so here is the door. But we have a couple of problems in our way. So there is a guy on the right that's kind of consumed with eating something. And when the explosive dude walks off, you can get around behind this guy and stealth kill him. And then these explosive guys, you don't want them to get near you. They also make a ton of noise and thus alert lots of things in the near area. But a really, really good way to take them out is one harpoon bolt to the face. One harpoon bolt to the face should explode their head and kill them without having their body explode. And so it's a really, really nice way to get these guys. There will be a few more in the next chapter, and I'm going to get them the same way. It's I think the best use of the ammo at your disposal. And harpoon bolts are pretty cheap to make, and I don't use them very often. So I think this is an excellent time to whip that out. And make use of that. So these guys are, again, frustrating because it's like it knows where I am, even though it doesn't know where I am. Because you see that it keeps like dilly-dallying over here, and it just won't get on its pattern unless I stay far enough back. So it's like I move a little bit forward, and it's like, hey, I feel some vibrations in the water. What's over here? No? Nothing? There's nothing over here? Okay. I mean, I'm looking right at you, but I can't see you because it's really dark in here, but I felt something. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess it would kind of make sense if it feels you moving toward it because of the vibrations in the water, but man, that's a really specific type of programming if that's what they chose to do here. And there's nothing that there's no precedent in the game for that, so I don't know. I had a delusion there that I should shoot its explosive pouches with the handgun, and then realized that was stupid, and decided to kill it with the harpoon bolt, like I should have done. So, that's a nice silent kill there. Didn't alert any of the other enemies, and now we want to go and take out anybody else that's nearby, because when we turn the crank to open this door, we don't want any interruptions. So there are a couple more enemies that are kind of patrolling around over here, and you just need to be vigilant and kind of listen for them. Again, it's kind of hard to see because you want to have your flashlight turned off. But you should see there on the left is one of them. And I thought someone heard me. Yeah, and she did. And here I am trying to shoot her in the chest with pistol bullets, which is absolutely stupid. Knock them down with the shotgun and smash their heads is what you should do. Run up, Dormouse, and stomp on his head. Jesus. Please, please, thank you. Okay. So yeah. So if you get surprised by those people, I didn't see where the other one came from. I'm pretty sure she was on the right, but I could not see her because it was so dark. And that just is what it is. But just know she's there, he's there. If you hear anybody, run back to this open area where you can deal with them a little bit more effectively. And then once they're gone, you should be able to operate this crank and open this door and get through without any issue. In this next room, I'm going to be moving directly to the exit. And it's going to be in the middle of the room. And it's going to be like, there's going to be a door that is just sort of floating in midair. And then there's like a replica of Lily's bedroom behind it. And then there's going to be a doll on the floor that you need to interact with. And that's the sort of exit to this area, which is kind of neat. And not something that we've had before. So this guy right here, you can just move around him. You don't really have to take him out or mess with him. You can harpoon him in the face again if you want to take him out. But you can also just wait for him to move back to the left and get far enough away so that you can walk around him. And if you just hug the outskirts of this area, you should be able to move past without alerting him and just move on, which is pretty sweet. There are some more enemies in the middle, so just be careful. Hugging these outskirts of these little areas here is a really, really good way to get through these sections. Because number one, you don't get pincered, right? You don't get enemies on multiple sides of you kind of pincering you in. And so that's really cool. And you can usually see anybody, see or hear or sense or whatever in the very dim light that's available. Anybody that's in front of you, and so that's helpful. Here is the doll. He touches the doll. and then we're going to be kind of transported into another section, and this will be the last section of this little part here. And this is probably the trickiest one, even though it's one of the shorter ones if you do it the way that I do it. And the reason why it's tricky is because we have these double-headed dog things. Geminis? Are they called Geminis? I don't know. That seems like a name that they might be called. Because they're like twins with the sewn in the two sides. I don't know. That seems like a horror name. Anyway, the double-sided dog things. There are a couple of them around in this area, and we're going to avoid most of them by heading around to the left and moving around the far left of this map toward the exit very slowly. It's hard to see. I did turn on my flashlight here for a second, because it was just difficult to see where I was going and where the edge of the map was and whatnot. But you don't want to have your flashlight on for too long, because those things will see you. And you probably don't want to really be contending with them. You could have a couple of things ready to go. You could have some smoke bolts ready to go just in case you needed to make a quick exit. You could also have some shock bolts ready to lay down in case you needed to make a quick run for it. And so we're headed toward this light here, slowly, ever so slowly, trying to avoid these dogs. Because, buddy, they are fast and they hurt. They hurt a lot. But yeah, I think this is the safest route to take. If you just move over to the left as far as you can and just kind of circle the entire area very slowly, quietly, watching out for the dogs, you can get to where you're trying to go. And then there's a little bit of a blockage in your way, because it seems like you should be able to get over some of the rubble, and you can't. You have to walk around the wall. Because, Sebastian can vault over high fences and stuff, but he can't climb over a foot of rubble. Like, a foot of rubble is too much. He has delicate ankles. He might twist one of them while he's trying to walk over it. And so he does not want to have anything to do with walking up, a few inches of rubble. It's no good. We do get there eventually. I promise. It's just slow. Patience. Patience is key. Patience is key for this game mode. And you know what? Once you get done with this mode, the reward is infinite ammo, which is pretty sweet. And I think you get the brass knuckles from if you play it on Nightmare as well. But you get those, you get the Magnum, which you get for completing the game on any difficulty, and you get infinite ammunition. So you can pull out that Magnum and just pop, 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 pop your way through everything. So look at this. Why can't I get through there? It looks big enough. Come on, game. Just ridiculous. And so it'll make you go around. And you'll see that there are dogs here, and they will hurt you. But once you get this close, you're pretty much home free. And so even though I did get caught up a little bit on some rubble and get snapped a little bit by the doggy, that's okay. Because we made it. Here are the stairs. And that's effectively the end of chapter 12. The rest of everything else is just kind of a little guided tour of Sebastian's house and having some exposition here and that sort of thing. So we have effectively done those last 2 chapters, which is excellent. And we're really close to where I'm going to make another save. And so this upcoming save, I'll just go ahead and tell you, the majority of people are going to want to not make a save here and wait until they are in the hotel right before the firewalk. Because the firewalk is hard. It's hard. And so it's probably one of the hardest sections of the game because it's a place where you can't stealth. You have to full on fight everything. And yeah, and you have those the fire guys, which my friend Megabug has told me are called disciples. So which makes sense because Father Theodore, his disciples, yada yada, yay cults. And so there's a bunch of those guys. They're mean. They can hurt really badly. And so the firewalk is going to be a place where people are going to pull their hair out because it's really unpleasant. And so definitely, if you are worried about that and feel like you're going to struggle there and you don't mind doing chapter 11 and 12 again, really, chapters 11 and 12 are not too bad. It's really just the boss fight that can be irritating in 11. And even that's not ridiculous. And so it would definitely make sense to me if you weren't worried about having to redo that stuff if you happened to mess up here at the beginning of chapter 13. That makes perfect sense. But there are a few collectibles in chapter 13 that I'm going to show you how to grab. And I just didn't want to do that part over. I really just did not want to do those chapters over again. I was like, okay, I'm 2 chapters in. I might have to redo the very beginning of chapter 13 again if I die on the firewalk, but I'm willing to do that. I was willing to do that. I was not willing to die here and then have to go back and do 2 whole chapters. And so that is why I chose to make my save here. You can use this coffee pot and replenish your health, which is awesome. And yeah, that's about it. I'm just grabbing some stuff and making sure that I am full up on ammo and stuff the way that I want to be. And that's it. Going to get to the non-marrow section and make my save here. So yeah, if you'd like, go ahead and wait until the next video, and I'll make note of where you want to save. If you want to save right before the firewalk, it'll be in the hotel in chapter 13, which is a repeat. It's the same level that we were in 7. And so there are some differences. The enemies are different here. There are now those harbingers with the flamethrowers. running around, which are unpleasant. But like I said, if you want to kill a couple of them, you can use the pieces from their flamethrowers to fix the broken one that you picked up, which is pretty nice. I'm not going to do that because I just don't think it's necessary. It's not worth the ammunition, in my opinion. But if you would like to do that, then that's fine. And there are a few more statues and things to pick up, and there's a slight little gauntlet of things to get through before we get to the hotel, and so that is why I chose to save here. You can go ahead and pick up this locker key. So there should be a statue here now that wasn't here before. And so you might as well go ahead and grab that before you make your save if you're going to make one where I do. And you can head back into the safe room and use your key and do what you need to do. Fill up your weapons. Get prepared for Chapter 13, because Chapter 13 is sucky. There's just a lot of the disciples and the harbingers and the explosive guys, which I'm sure also have a name. There's a lot of those things around, and it's pretty unpleasant, you know. But we're gonna get through it, and like I said, if you want to wait to make your save until we get to the hotel right before the firewalk sequence, that is certainly a viable option. It makes a lot of sense, and I am in favor of you doing that if you want to. I'm also very in favor of you going ahead and making your save here so that you don't have to replay those last couple of chapters, because I certainly understand that. So, here we go. We're going to make our save here. Hope that this was helpful to you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next part.